things from audiobook land. So while I work on my project, I'm going to be listening to The Ballad of Never After. Now, this is technically a reread for me, but honestly, I do not remember anything that happened to this book. So I'm going to get started and see if anything jogs my memory. But quick refresher, since Once Upon a Broken Heart ended on a cliffhanger. Evangeline, our pink-haired prophesied princess, is still married to the prince, who is not dead, but stuck in a Snow White-style stasis. And it's all Jack's fault. So I got through one whole one of these things, started up another one, and that was part 1 of the audiobook. Sort of divided into 3 parts. Which is really nice, because it gives me a good stopping point to report back in. Because I honestly would have just kept going. So we don't even get one full chapter in when Evangeline, searching for a cure for Apollo, finds the Valerie Arch. It's the arch that she is prophesied to open. And she tries, because she didn't realize when she used her willing blood, which is something she can do, is she can open doors with her willing blood. She's unsuccessful. And she can't actually open it because apparently it's missing some pieces. Specifically 4 stones. But with a sigh of relief, because to open it, she continues looking for a cure for Apollo, her prince husband. And suddenly the prince and Evangeline develop a secondary curse. A mirror curse. They can share injuries now. Discovery is sidelined when the new heir shows up. Since Apollo is dead to the world and Tiberius is in jail for killing Apollo, there's a new guy coming in. And it just so happens to be Luke, Evangeline's former love, who is also a vampire. Apparently he's some long-lost cousin. I don't know if that's true or not. That's his claim to the throne. But anyway, this issue is sidelined because Apollo wakes up. Which is good, because he tells Evangeline he loves her. And then proceeds to shoot her with an arrow.
In the knee.
Really?
I'm sorry, I had to.
I love you. To heal her from her grave injuries, Jax, the guy we don't like, takes Evangeline to the vampires. Because apparently their bites can do that. Amongst other things. Keeping her human during the healing becomes a whole fiasco. Successful fiasco, but a fiasco nonetheless. And after that fiasco, Evangeline tries to leave on her own. Unfortunately, she is found by Apollo. And after thwarting his second attempt at murder, thanks to Jack, they discover that aside from the mirror curse, Apollo has another curse that forces him to hunt down Evangeline. Even though, according to him, he does not want to. And the best way to save him is to open the Valerie Arch. According to Jax. This is also the point where Jax let it slip that Evangeline was not the only key that existed. Apparently there were other pink-haired main characters that tried to do the thing, and they failed. Back at the vampire lair, we get to talk with Chaos. He's the leader of the vampires, and he has his own reasons for wanting to open the Valerie Arch. He also owns one of the stones needed to fix the Valerie Arch, and a giant library full of books that don't really tell you much, because they keep changing every time you read them. After weeks of being left alone for research purposes, Evangeline decides to visit her brother-in-law. Because he's a member of a crew that's trying to stop the Valerie Arch from opening, so she figured he might know some stuff. Except he doesn't. That conversation goes nowhere. And on her way back from that visit, she runs into Luke. Again, that conversation really goes nowhere. But she does discover that her friend Lala is throwing a party that has all the great houses in it. And what do all the great houses probably have? The other stones. So that's where part 1 ends. We're headed to a party. Alrighty, I finished the book and I now officially have 6 of these things. I need 12 in total. But anyway, part 2, or where we left off, we were on our way to a party. A party thrown by Lala, who is also a fate. And on the way to the party, we get a bunch of stories and histories and stuff, as told by Jax. But as many of the stories have curses and are constantly changing, and Jax is Jax, there is a high probability that it is a bunch of bull. The first dinner party at Lala's was pretty grand. There was mingling with the great houses to see if any of them brought a stone. There was some introductions of some pretty interesting noble house characters with some pretty interesting stories, and then they are never brought up again. At least not in this book. We still have a whole another book to go. Then there's a bunch of jealousy. A bit of a lover spat between Eva and Jax. And a heated moment in a dark hallway as well. But Eva ends up going to bed alone that evening. Though, because of aforementioned heated moment, she's not able to sleep. She picks up the magic book that Chaos gave her and then proceeds to read it, and it gives her some information that leads her to some grave robbing. Which is successful because Luke shows up. And he helps. But he really just randomly shows up. But at least Eva gets the stone that she needs. And then the next night is Lala's costume party. Of which Eva is dressed like a fox girl. From the story, The Ballad of the Archer and the Fox. Which has a matching curse that the prince is currently under. Lala really has a dark sense of humor. But anyway, that night there is much more jealousy and lover spats, and Luke showing up again. And then Evangeline storms off. And gets attacked by another pink-haired main character. This is one of the previous keys, but she faked her death, and apparently she used one of the magic stones to keep herself young forever. Unfortunately, Evangeline is forced to kill her. Gaining another stone, but also tremendous amounts of trauma. And this moves fast because before she can go on the run from that, Apollo gets attacked, thus harming her. Because of the mirror curse and all that. Jack absconds with her once again, saving her life. And he takes her to a strange house. They stay at this strange house for a while because curses cannot pass over the threshold of this house. And the house feels good, warm, and welcoming. And they don't want to leave. Also, Evangeline starts falling for Jax. Hard. Then Jax does for her a little bit. Come to find out, that's all because there's a stone in the house. Another magic stone. One that makes them feel all giddy, happy, and lovey. They remove the stone and lock it away, and neither of them wants to admit that they feel stuff for each other. Yeah, it's that kind of pining. But moving on, they need to open the arch. And they have all 4 stones now. In preparation to open the arch, there is lots of conversations and pining. Chaos, of course, wants the arch open so that he can get his helmet removed because he's a vampire and hasn't been able to feed in, like, forever. And Jax doesn't want to open the arch. He just wants the stone so he can go back in time and fix his old relationship. Or so he says. But Chaos ends up taking Evangeline solo to the arch. To open it. Inside the arch, shocking no one but Eva, it contains the Valor family themselves. In stasis. Much like the prince was in previously. It turns out that Chaos, the leader of the vampires, was once Prince Castor. But his helmet gets removed like he wanted. He's in control of himself for a little bit, but then he ends up attacking Evangeline, beating on her, and killing her. But do not fret, in a fit of despair, Jax uses the stones to go back in time and try and save her. He is successful, but he disappears. We don't know where, just that there was a lot of blood. Eventually, Prince Apollo finds Evangeline, and his curse is broken, surprisingly. But to keep Evangeline from chasing after Jax, he erases her memories. And that's the cliffhanger we are left on. The arch was open, the stones were used, Jax and Eva admit their feelings for each other, and she doesn't even remember it.